Welcome to Diversity Conversations, where we engage in thought-provoking dialogue to identify leadership solutions to today's most challenging conflicts. Stream live each week, Saturday 9:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. Hosted by Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Strategist and CEOs Eric Ellis and Tommy Lewis. Join us and add your voice to this engaging diversity conversation.
Good morning, Greater Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky, the United States, and the world. My name is Eric Ellis. I'm the president and CEO of Integrity Development Corporation, and I'm joined this morning by my good friend and brother,
Tommy Lewis, president and CEO of Make It Plain Consulting. Good morning, Eric.
Woo! Good morning, Tommy Lewis. What's going on, man?
Oh, it's a beautiful day. It is the typical Cincinnati Midwest, whereby last week we were in the Bahamas with the weather's 60, 70, 80s, and today it's snowing.
Right? What is going on, Tommy? What is this, man? I mean, when you said beautiful day, I said beautiful day.
Right.
Yeah. It's snowing outside.
Hey, man, this weather keeps you bobbing and weaving, sticking and moving, man. You got to be careful. You folks walking out in shorts got to turn around and put on the triple goose down bubble coat, right?
Exactly, man.
It's crazy.
But you gotta love it. Keep you on your toes.
Yeah.
How was your week, Tommy? Talk about your week, man.
Week was good, Eric. It was busy. We are doing a lot of work as typical with our clients and then personally. But I really wanted to focus on my personal journey just for a moment this week. Eric, just really working on the health. Drinking the water. Thank you, Eric. Drinking a lot of water, trying to stay away from the caffeine, by way of pop and things like that.
Right. Excellent.
Trying to eat healthier and just being mindful of what I do when I wake up, the initial stretching, some calisthenics, and then also with as I transition to lay it down for the evening, continue with the prayer and some more stretching. And some trying to level set my energy, Eric. Level set my energy. I've been very my mind's been moving and working in overload. So you know how it is. I'm getting 4 hours of sleep, 4.5 hours of sleep. But now I'm just resting my mind, getting my mind at peace, going to the movies, doing what I enjoy, and then allowing myself to reboot for the next day and the next week.
Tommy, you don't know how good that makes me feel, man. I am grateful to hear that from you. And I know that that's the journey that I've been on. And I think, Tommy, maybe I thought the exercise and fitness thing was cute with my wife and daughter. It was a nice, change of pace. Mm-hmm. It was good to keep it going for 3 months. That's nice. But I could see that we were about to, because of the difficulties of our lives and our jobs, if we weren't careful, we were about to slip back into, okay, maybe we don't have to do this. Mm. And then your mind is quietly saying, you know what? This is hard. When's the second wind supposed to kick in? None of that was happening. So I missed a couple days in 1 week. And Tommy, I could see that my body started saying, if you giving up, then we're going to give up.
Yeah.
And I started saying, hold up. You mean if I don't continue working out, the quality of my life, my mobility mainly, is not going to be as positive as it needs to be. Tommy, I'm beginning to try to get off of some of those medications.
Okay.
Trying to get off of them. And the only way to get there, Tommy, is by exercise and diet.
Yes, sir.
You got to do both. So now, yesterday, you know what I was dreaming of? Carrots and broccoli. I was literally planning in my mind how I was going to get these carrots and broccoli. I meant to get them on the way into the office today. Steam up that broccoli, throw a little ranch sauce in them, and give me some little bags, little grandma bags.
hey, Eric, I know our guy T. Cooley. I know he's clowning you right now. I know he's clowning you.
No doubt. I would keep you posted on how long that lasts. But I'm telling you, man, I am too committed, Tommy. And I'm going to throw that prayer in there. See, I feel like I'm talking to God all day. At least he's talking to me. Yes, Eric, sir. What are we doing? So at least God is talking to me all day. But I believe that those pieces, the older we get, Tommy, we recognize that they're a necessity in our lives, man. It's not a luxury. It's not something that you can just do when you want to do. Brother, we got to be working on ourselves because the enemy is out there for sure putting in the work. Come on. And it's silent work that is really tearing us down personally and not allowing us to be our full selves. So I love the conviction that you have around personal fitness, well-being, time for prayer, and just really focusing inward, and then taking time with movie and the entertainment, things like that. Kudos to you, man.
So I'll say this, Eric, because I know you're going to tee us up with our special guest for today. But as we started the show today, and as God is always a part of this show, we're talking about health. Right. And I know this personally, and folks, that when it comes to the stresses of finances, money, yep, it sometimes impacts us internally when we are mismanaging money, or we don't have enough, or at least we think we don't have enough, or any of those stressors. We take that in, and it becomes later, it becomes a heart attack, right, hypertension, right, high blood pressure. Right. We start to fall back, in our body simply accepts that energy of not having enough, not being enough. And some of it is our concern or mismanagement, and maybe lack of understanding and education around money and finances.
That's right.
So all of this always ties into one another. And again, I'm excited. I had a blessed opportunity to chat very briefly with our special guest in the backstage area, and looking forward to chatting more.
Excellent. We're going to bring onto the stage Carl and Michelle Jarmon. Carl and I have known each other for 40 years, and we have went to high school together. Well, he was behind me a number of years, but we've known each other for all those years. And he's a phenomenal person, cares deeply about the community. He's a tremendous coach, and his wife and he have this organization, this company called Jarmon Financial Group. And so I think they're going to have to come in one at a time when they're talking.
Let's ask Brooke, see if we can do something there, man. We can expand this a little bit more.
Right. Yeah, because we'd love to be able to give them full space so that they can occupy the same space at the same time. But Carl, why don't you just introduce yourself, talk about who you are, how we've been connected over the years, and then your wife, and then how you and your wife met, and how long you all have been together, and the like. There we go.
Yes.
That's good. That's good. First of all, we want to thank you both for having us as your guest today. We couldn't be more honored and thankful for the opportunity. Eric, Eric and I have known each other, forever. And actually, Eric is a little bit older than I am.
Absolutely.
And so he was a guy that, we all looked up to. My group of guys that I hung around with, and I still hang around with the same guys. And actually, his brother, Wendell, is one of my classmates. Wendell and I grew up together, and again, been knowing each other for 40 plus years. And Eric has just been, he's been that guy that's, like I said, always been that guy that we've looked up to, just not only from his success, but just he's just a great guy. And everybody that knows Eric knows that Eric is just that guy, right? When you see him, he's full of energy, always just a walking book of knowledge. Eric is just, he's always been that guy that, again, has been a mentor figure for me. As a matter of fact, he and I met about a week ago. And man, I mean, I came home and told my wife how just inspired and replenished I was. As Eric mentioned, I am a high school basketball coach, and also have my own AAU organization where, I'm pretty.
Mama, keep working on him now. You keep working on him. If he ain't listening, call me.
Yeah. And so Eric had some conversations because, as you guys were talking about health and wellness, that's a big part of my life right now as well. You know, I a couple years ago, I was diagnosed with hypertension and high blood pressure.
Same here.
So of course, with that came the medications and the change in diet and exercise and the whole 9 yards for me. And so Eric and I were talking about that the other day in his office, and man, so glad that I got a chance to share time with Eric. I always look forward to running into him because he's always got such inspiring words. And like I said, helped me tremendously. And Eric, I'm taking the words, man. Trust me, I'm definitely improving and trying to get better in my space. So again, we are Jarmon Financial Group.
Hold on, pause. Let's Michelle, please introduce yourself. We want to hear from the better half there and tell us all the good work that you've been doing on this, brother. But just tell us who you are and maybe how you all met.
Yeah, so my name is Michelle Jarmon, and Carl and I met years and years ago. We used to work at a call center together, okay. And he was one of my supervisors. And so he came over. Instead
of charging him with sexual harassment, you just went on married him.
Yeah. My HR lens came out like, oh, Carl was like, hey,
it's about to be a
right. Just to sum it up.
Yeah. That's good. Sometimes
we met and started dating, and it kind of went from there. And I just always loved his energy. He always makes me laugh, right. And so we, and he just definitely is a huge support system. So we have been married for a while now, and just support each other in everything that we do. Definitely keep God first in our lives. And, we are just, in different phases of our life now where we're rediscovering our purpose. Okay. And, we'll kind of talk a little bit more about that as the show goes on.
Right. I love that because you all do have a story to tell. I love to see when a husband and wife can work together. That says something already, doesn't it, Tom?
It does. It does. And we experience, the ability to work with our wives, our spouses rather, as well as those challenges, right? That thin line between the business and the person or the personal and that love, right? Yeah. So it's sometimes a challenge, but it's great to see that both of you are doing it and doing it well.
Right, because Tommy and I, when you do the kind of work we do, you get a lot of kudos about, because people see you almost on a stage. Mm-hmm. And God won't just let me just take all the praise without saying, hold on, no. I'm a real person with feet of clay. And if you got any questions, check in with my wife. People love it when we train together because she just go in on me sometimes. And people are like, yeah. I'm like, what is all of this? Why is everybody always cheering for her when she get a couple points in on me? But God knew, and Carl, I know this is true with you, God knew he had to bring somebody in our lives to complete us. Oh, yeah. Somebody sometimes to put us in check, and that's just a blessing. It doesn't feel like a blessing when you're going through it. It really is. And Michelle, I heard that in Carl's voice. The love and respect that he has for you is what he's sharing when you're not around.
I definitely, I feel it. He's my partner. He's my partner in everything. And so I wouldn't have it any other way.
Good. Well, Carl, why don't you open up, man, and kind of just tell us a little bit about you all's business and how long you all have been in business. And then we can start just taking each specialty area and really talking about that. Because I would say to our community, and we have a community of people that watch us every Saturday morning, I want you to be feel free to join in if you have questions that relate to all things financial, with credit and looking at retirement and things like that. Any of those kind of things, feel free to weigh in with questions. Carl, why don't you go ahead and introduce us to y'all's firm?
Good. Again, we are Jarmon Financial Group. We've been in business 5.5+ years. The reason that we got started is life happened, right? So some years back, life happened. We ran into some financial difficulties ourselves. And was over our means a little bit, and had to take a step back and go seek help. We saw that, hey, we were coming in a bad period in our life, and we said, hey, we got to do something about this. So we took a time out and we went, and like I said, we sought help. We got that help, saw the improvement in our overall financial portfolio with our credit and our finances. And we just thought, you know what, we can share this information with so many people within our community. There's so many people in the community that need help, but just don't have the resources to get that help. And with my wife being a teacher by trade, and me working in corporate America for 27 years, and also myself being a coach, we said, what better way, right, to share our talents with our community than to be able to teach finances.
Okay, I'm gonna take a time out every once in a while. So I want you to sometimes we have to slow this down for the audience. Mm-hmm. So you all are in a situation where you're seeing some financial challenges and difficulties. Mm-hmm. And literally all of us have been there. You're out there in the water of life and bubbles are coming up. Mm-hmm. Now, a lot of times people you see them out there until the last bubble has come up, they just got drowned. So how did you all make the decision that, and the Bible talks about, why sit ye here and die? You got to get up and how did you all make that decision that we're not just going to keep pedaling backwards, but we're actually going to seek help? Because I think many people may be there, especially with COVID-19 and all the things that we've been going through. How did you all collectively get to not just arguing with each other about this situation, if that happened, but how did you get to the point where you said, we got to take this in our own hands and take some action?
Yeah, so I think for us it was just acknowledging that, because we both made great incomes, salaries, but we were living above our means, and we were not saving like we should. And we were focusing on things that really weren't important, when we look back. And so when we were looking at even our children, that always puts it in perspective. And at the time, my daughter was getting ready to go off to college. And because we weren't doing what we should have been doing with our credit and finances, our credit scores did suffer. And it was a point where we said, hey, what if we need to sign for a loan for our daughter to go to college and we get denied, how would that look? And it's like, it takes a time where you have to just really be responsible, be mature, and financially mature. And so we had that conversation, and we're just like, we're not going to just keep spinning the wheel, and going in circles. We're going to definitely make a change, and so that we can do what we need to do for ourselves and for our family. And so that was kind of the turning point when we just kind of sat down and was like, let's really put this on paper and let's take some action, see where we go and how it helps us.
Right. And Tommy, I'm going to ask you to jump in here. Tommy, can you relate to that? I mean, this notion of us sometimes having the money, but sometimes living above our means. And is that almost parallel with what you're talking about in terms of this change that you've made, even in our health? And that same change sometimes is needed in the way we deal with our finances, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm very interested in hearing if, hearing some tips and techniques that folks could consider as they look at their finances, not only from a credit perspective, but also just from a spend perspective.
Yeah.
And I'll just share very briefly, my entire life, I've been blessed with certain special skill sets to always make money.
Right.
And it's not an incredible amount of money, but I've always been able to make money. And I've always had this special skill set of spending money without regard.
Right.
I will spend. And so what that looks like is having the family over and relatives. Hey, let's go out to eat on me.
Right.
And then the bill is $550. I'm balling for a minute. Right. And then I got to work extra hard to pay that back for the week. Or vacations, things like that, without really properly planning for success. And then, Eric, as I close, I hear some other sometimes bad advice such as you only live once. And I internalize the you only live once as I need to get it and spend it right now.
Right.
But then God blesses me with another day.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, I spent it yesterday. And he's like, boy, you
tell the
listen
truth, brother.
to the
You
wrong,
preach.
yeah, you listen to the wrong people.
Right.
So now I want to shut up here because I need to listen. We're doing pretty well personally and professionally, but I think that the bubble's going to burst, and I want to be prepared. Just like what was said around, can I sign off on a loan?
Yeah.
Right, for a house or college or whatever the case may be. But yeah, I definitely have experience. Yeah.
All right. It's back to you all to just start us there with how you help people to think about money.
So if you guys, think back, financial literacy or finances aren't taught in our schools. They just aren't, right? It's something that's not offered, not seemed or not deemed important, right? And so I think, for us, we had to go, you know what? We need to have a plan around this thing. You got to have a plan. When you're talking about finances, you better have a strategy and a plan set in place, or else things will just fall apart. Okay. And so in seeing that, we knew that we had to have a plan. We didn't have a plan. We would just spend money, a lot of material things, which is where a lot of us, make that mistake, right? Cars and homes and clothes and jewelry and traveling, right? And you get caught up in that and it becomes a habit. So what we had to do was say, time out, right? Get a plan together, speak to some experts in that area, right? That could provide the knowledge for us that we needed. A lot of us just don't have the knowledge, Eric and Tommy, to even know how to proceed forward or how to put a plan together. So part of our notion here, part of our reason for doing what we're doing with us being in the fields that we were in, was to be able to provide that knowledge that people are missing about finances, about the strategies, around the planning, to help people understand what's important as you go through those beginning steps. Because a lot of us, again, because we don't get taught it, and growing up like we did, hey, our parents didn't know it either. All they knew was go to work hard, we come home, we go to sleep, we work 2 or 3 jobs, we provide for the family, and that's what they taught us. You go to school, you get out of school, you go to the military or college to get an education, then you go get a job and you work until you retire, right? And we wanted to have a different plan in place, not only for us, but to be able to provide for our kids once we're gone, and just to provide that generational wealth. So that was all part of us getting started.
So let me ask you about the plan of both Carl and Michelle, the plan. When you're preparing the plan, is it looking at what are the goals to which you want to achieve in X amount of years? Or is it creating a plan to recover from some financial deficits? So if we're trying to repair credit, if we're trying to have more discretionary funding or monies or even savings, which approach, if it doesn't have to be either or, what is the approach to creating the plan? Looking at the end first, or looking at the current state and building upon that current state?
Yeah, I think it's a little of both. When you look at it that way, but definitely looking at your goals, and then definitely looking at, your wants and your needs. So that's huge. This is what I want. This is what I need. I was in a class listening to she's one of my mentors, and she was talking about she didn't even have a TV in her home until she became a millionaire, because she was wasting time watching senseless TV when she could have been, building wealth for herself and her family. That hit home for me. So I'm like, well, we're definitely canceling our cable subscription. He didn't like that. But I'm like, we don't need that. So looking at, when we were, talking about a budget, looking at things like that, subscriptions, if you go in and look at all the senseless subscriptions that you have, that's just eating up, your money. And it's like, you don't need, and some of them, you may get them and forget to cancel them. And then you look back and like, oh my gosh, they billed me for our annual, subscription. So, taking account and looking at those types of things, packing your lunch. Now I love to eat. Okay. But, packing your lunch, me cooking more at home. And I don't mind cooking because Carl does the cleaning. So that works for me.
Okay.
But we do like to eat and fine dining, but it's like, okay, you know what? I can cook. So we're gonna cook at home. We're gonna save that money, and we're gonna start paying down our debt. So looking at different places, printing off your statement from your bank account, highlighting things that are wants that you can eliminate. So starting there was huge for us. And then even if you do go shopping, you know what? Now I like to wear nice things as well, but I shop at the Goodwill too. You can come up at the Goodwill.
Right.
He doesn't like that.
Right. Clearance is my favorite word in shopping. No, I like to shop. I mean, a lot of men don't want to admit it, but I like to shop too. But I've spent a lot of time in Burlington Coat Factory and Ross Dress for Less, and I enjoy that. I think we've got a question from our community too. So why don't we go ahead and bring that up? Terry Cooley.
From Terry Cooley, my question is, what is the best way to improve your credit? And also, is a CPN number legal and a good use to improve your credit?
So speaking about credit, so what I would say, just kind of going back just a little bit, so definitely paying down debt. Okay. Then definitely creating some savings. So you definitely need your emergency fund. You need your short-term savings, long-term savings. Then you definitely need to look at your credit too. That's going to help you save money. Bad credit is expensive. So the best way to improve your credit score, number one, you have to face it to fix it. So you need to get a copy of your credit report. A lot of people don't even know what's on there, and 80% of credit reports have errors on them. So you need to go to annualcreditreport.com. You can go to identityq.com. IdentityQ, it's $1 to enroll. After 7 days, it's $27. It's $27. So, but you can go ahead and get started, and then you can go ahead and download your credit report and your credit scores to see where you are. Okay. When you're looking at your credit report, you're looking at the names that are on there. Sometimes there's incorrect spelling of names and it's mixed up with someone else's name. You may have several different addresses on there. You may have a number of different employers on there. That the first part would be to clean up that personal section. And you can easily do that by just calling the bureaus and saying, this is my current name, current employer, current address. And you can start there. And then from there, you go into disputing.
Here's what we find out too a lot, just to piggyback off Michelle, guys, is that we come across so many of our clients that have no idea what's on their credit report. They haven't seen it. We'll ask them, hey, when was the last time you saw your credit report? And they go, oh, I couldn't tell you when it was. Well, if you don't know what's on your credit report to begin with, how do you know what you need to fix? So people go a lifetime never inquiring about what's on their credit report, what's reporting, if it's right, if it's wrong, because you could have stuff like Michelle mentioned that's reporting that's incorrect, that's killing your credit score. But you never know because you never go to check that credit report or check that credit score. So that's super important. And we really encourage everybody, all of the listeners today and watchers that are out there, to make sure that you stay up on your credit report. Get that thing every 3 months, every 4 months, just to see any new things that have come on, or maybe old stuff that's come on that you may need to get off and get improved. Okay.
So I'm less familiar with a CPN number.
Right.
So I believe that's kind of like I believe those are illegal, if I'm not mistaken. Some people use those to get like different trade lines on their credit report. I believe that's what he may be speaking of. You may correct me if I'm wrong, but those are illegal, and so we do not use those. Anything that we're using to improve your credit is legal. So we do have a rent reporting program for those who are renting that can improve your credit. That is a legal trade line where you can add 2 years of rent on your credit report, and that boosts your score. And then we also have a secure card to help you improve your credit score. Lots of people can't get approved for a credit card. So they need to start with a secured card. Most secure cards, you have to put down $250 deposit. You can open this card and get started with $10. Now that's not much of, anything to spend, but you can build on that. And then we teach you how to use the card so that you are not hurting your score, but helping it.
Yeah, I was just looking here at this CPN number is a credit privacy number, a 9-digit number that's formatted just like a Social Security. And it also can be called a credit profile number. Companies sell CPNs to consumers, market them as a way to hide a bad credit history or bankruptcy. Ugh.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Yeah, no, those are illegal. I would stay away from that.
That's a good question. Good
yes,
question.
yes.
Yeah. So, and I'll throw it back to Eric in just a bit. So what about the individual, the family, that they're simply not comfortable sharing their finances with a third party? And that comfortability may be based on judgment, maybe shame and embarrassment.
Yeah.
Not just one, foreclosure or one bankruptcy, but multiple. It's just, I have never been successful with this thing. And why would I expose myself to this trauma and having someone else in my business? What do you say to that individual or that family that may have this mindset?
Yeah, definitely. I can definitely understand that because it can be embarrassing, and you definitely feel ashamed and, you have all those feelings. We can definitely empathize with that. For that reason, we do have on our website lots of DIY credit repair. So they can download a PDF, and then they can kind of look at the steps there. It's all spelled out. So they don't have to talk to anyone else. They can keep it amongst themselves, but they have the tools and references and resources there to help them to improve their credit.
I want to say something about that, and then Carl, we'll let you jump right in here. But I want to say something about the DIY resources that you all provide. I think that says a lot about your own integrity and your character as a couple, because you are literally trying to provide a service to the community and to the public that I've seen other people really charge for all of that, and not try to help people help themselves. And so when a company begins to help people help themselves, it says something about their own integrity. And if they're willing to share that with you, then there's a lot more that they can help you with. And you can trust that they would be good counselors for you around the rest of their finances. If you see somebody sort of looking bootleg, or they're trying to withhold things or put too much mystery above this, then those are red lights, that the signal to us, because I see a lot of times people get taken advantage of because they're afraid, as Tommy was saying.
Yeah. So I think a big part of it too is while you're going through this correction phase, if you will, that you're transparent and you're okay. Like Michelle was mentioning, one of our favorite slogans is, you got to face it to fix it. You gotta face that, you gotta face that music. You know what, honey, it's that time. We got to sit down and replan this thing out. Right. But the one thing I think that helps when you talk about people being ashamed to talk to us is that we open up, we come right out of the gate and share our story. We're not afraid to say, hey, we're experts at this thing. We screwed up. The reason that we're in the position that we're in now is because we had to go through what you're going through. So what better person to help you through your stuff than somebody who's been through your stuff, right? So we really champion ourselves in just being open and transparent. We did a thing for our church, and nobody at our church knew our business. And when we did that, people were, mouths open and eyes big, trying to figure out, well, why didn't we see that? Well, you know what? People are ashamed of that, and they hide that behind the scenes, right? And we're just transparent, and we don't mind sharing our story. We'll share our story with the world, and that helps people to feel more comfortable in sharing their stuff with us and saying, hey, you know what? I do need your help. Can you guys help us? Eric, I've had more than several of our classmates that reached out and said, hey, Carl, you know what? I've been watching you guys, man, and I didn't want to do this. You just don't know how embarrassed I am, but I need your help. Can you help me? And I'm like, absolutely. Don't be ashamed. Let's rock this thing and go. So I think just opening up our story to the world has really helped people to feel more comfortable to come on in and get that help.
I appreciate that, because we learned at some point that the world can't hurt us, that no matter what you think about me, that doesn't really move anything. We know that financial challenges is often the first or second leading cause of divorce and people not making it in their marriages. I think Brooke was saying she wanted to share you all's contact information so that people can reach out to you. What are you all seeing in terms of husband versus wife, boyfriend, girlfriend? Who is the most interested in trying to get at repairing the credit?
I would say women
Okay.
definitely take the lead. We have more women clients than men. And then even in marriages or just relationships, the woman's the one who's calling. And then I'll say, well, are you married or do you have a significant other? How's their credit? And they're usually like, not good either,
Right.
So typically kind of birds of a feather. But, we definitely see women, definitely taking the lead on that. And oftentimes they are, the ones who are charged with, and not in most cases, but with, educating the children. And so, for that reason, we do have partnered with a 501c nonprofit, YFL, Youth and Literacy Foundation, and it teaches the matters of credit and personal finance to our children. And so, a lot of times I believe it's 17 states have adopted, like financial literacy education, but they started in high school. And there's different tools that we can start even at the age of 2 or 3, teaching our children about financial literacy. So they're, a little more well equipped. So that program that we have is phenomenal. We have a lot of parents, who are able to teach their children, and they, because you can't rely on teachers to do it. So it may be part of the curriculum, but you never know if the teacher is really diving in deep to really teach those concepts that's going to really impact families and make a difference. And so that's why we're proud of that foundation. Also offer scholarships. So for our high school seniors, college freshmen, last year our company gave away, was it $400,000 or $600,000 in scholarships. So those types of programs help too, and things that people can do in their households with their children, so we don't have to continue that cycle of children not knowing the basics of financial literacy.
And then Eric, as you talk about in the household, right, husband and wife, we suggest and we tell all of our clients, and like Michelle said, the woman will always lead, and we'll ask about, hey, what about the husband? Because what's really important in the household to keep that fire down as you're going through that financial struggle is to do it together, right?
Right.
We did it together. Michelle was suffering, but I was suffering worse. I had like a 412 credit score. My credit score was terrible. Right. But I was the one saying, oh, no, I'm good. I'll just keep on spending money and I'm good, right? And she was like, dude, no, you're not good. You need help too. Right. And so when I finally came to my senses and said, you know what, maybe my recipe ain't working, right? Bad grammar there, but it sounded good, right?
Yeah.
It ain't working. So I had to come forward and be transparent and just say, hey, I need help too. And I think doing it like God, in God's terms, being evenly yoked, right? If she's getting it fixed, you might as well get yours fixed, because now we can both do this thing together. Now we're more powerful financially, right? Because we both got our credit in order. We got our plan in place, right? We have a strategy set. We have our goals set. We've written things down. We know what we're doing together. And we did this thing. We went on this journey together. And we're so thankful that God pushed us in that direction for us to do that. But we just suggest do it together. Do it together. If it's tough, do it together.
Right. So I want to weigh in here with something. We're going to start brainstorming right now, because I believe that the service that you all provide and the way that you talk about this is necessary for our entire community. And so I want to offer a couple of things. Number one, I'd like to even suggest that my daughter be in contact with you, because I think that we need a whole place for young people to have these conversations. So they're hearing other young people. She's right now working on her financial planning, and she's worked on repairing her credit. And now she's got a budget. She's paying off her student loans right now. And she's assertive around that and excited around that. She sees this power and freedom that she's going to be able to establish in her. And I think that you all are the kind of couple that need to have those places to host those conversations. If you all aren't right now doing this on a regular basis on some social media platform like what Tommy and I are doing, I want to help you all make that happen too, because I think that we need this. Because a lot of times here's the thought that came to mind for me. We think so often about professional athletes that got big paydays and then squandered all that money away. And so the average one of us looks at them and says, I can't believe how irresponsible those athletes are. What? How responsible are you being with the money that you've got? And so I think that all of us could use a place that begins to encourage each other, sort of iron sharpening iron, to make a commitment to this. Because right now, people of color are almost upside down. I mean, it's upside down. We got way more debt than we have, so we don't have any wealth, And so what are you all's thoughts about how we can get the public more engaged with you all, and then clients? Because I think that the value of being a client. So it's one thing to say, okay, DIY, do it yourself. Most people don't have the wherewithal to stick to that. What I've been saying on this show for the last couple months is that my wife, my daughter, and I have now started working together on our fitness. And so 3 mornings out of the week, we get up at 6 a.m. Now, that has been so helpful that we're going at it as a team, because any one of us would quit by ourselves. But when you have a team, then it causes you to stay the course. So I think that people need somebody to also help them be accountable. They need to check in with some experts that can sort of look over this with them and encourage them to stay the course.
You know what, Eric, you mentioned your daughter, and we have a daughter too that right now she's in med school, and we're trying to plan for what does that look like once you're done and all of those things. And, when you look at young people, when I was young, we all did it. I'm like, who cares about credit? And my parents would tell me all the time, my mom preached it. Good credit will take you a long way. It'll take you further than cash money. I didn't believe that. Right. So I spent my 20s and 30s just throwing away money, dogging my credit. I didn't care, because I said, I got time to do this thing. I hit 40 and went, right? It scared me, because I go, I'm way behind. And so I think really, like you said, teaching the young people, getting it to them early, because we didn't have the knowledge, like I said, and the resources to be able to even know what good credit even meant, right? So being able to teach that to the young people and getting them started off on the right foot. As soon as you get out of college, put your plan together, get your goals together, start thinking about investments at an early age, right? So that you're not like me, 40 years old, trying to get your financial portfolio in order, right? So I think that's huge as we talk about that. And you mentioned getting us out on a bigger platform. We do currently do, seminars. We've been to schools and churches, right? Because we want to reach as many people in the community as we can. And any help that you guys can provide us to get us out there more, we ask, hey, do it, because we prayed about this thing and we asked God, hey, God, put us in front of as many people as you feel like we need to be in front of to help our community. And man, sometimes they say, you better be careful what you ask for. Man, God really is doing this thing and has us in front of a lot of different people on different platforms. And so any help that we can get, man, we definitely will take it all. Bring it on.
I could definitely see the two of you having a podcast. And really, here's what I envision. And then I'll share this. I know we have a question from Terrence Cooley, and unfortunately, I have to transition here this morning to make an investment academically for one of my sons as well. But what I envision for you all, because I'm sensing this in your energy, your spirit, and your personality, you all do have fun with one another.
Yeah.
I can envision literally a podcast with you all, kind of poking at one another in love, obviously, and then offering very tactical steps to fixing some things or improving, right? So, Carl, what you just mentioned, and you backed up and said, it wasn't, proper English, but we all get it, right? The credit was jammed up. It was all messed up.
Right.
Your wife, beautiful, scholarly, the educator, then starts to educate you, right? I think that both of your styles, personalities, and intellect will resonate with so many different people. Some people lean toward Michelle. Help me out, Michelle. Carl, good looking, he's smart, but I don't want to talk to him. Talk to you. Some folks like Carl, my man, right? Holla at your boy.
Right.
Because I can't go to the wife because I'm trying to be the breadwinner and things getting jacked up. Plus, she's always asking, and I'm always having to give because I have that pressure. And then you come to me, kind of man to man, if you will. And if you have that podcast, I think the energy will allow people to Eric's point, to have that comfort around this topic that everyone talks about, right? It's money. It's money if we have it or not. And then it's how do we create that mindset? And so as I ask this question, and then I'll transition, Brother Cooley says, how long do bad marks stay on your credit? Right? If you would answer that, I'm going to listen as I transition, but it's been a pleasure to have you all on the show. And Eric, we need to have these folks back.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to have them back. Thank you, Tommy. I love you, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All those kind words.
Yes, indeed. All right.
So yeah, how long does it stay in your credit? It can stay on your credit 7 to 10 years. Any derogatory marks, even if you pay it off. So you pay off some of those derogatory marks, it'll still stay on your credit. So it's not guaranteed that it will be removed. So that's a long time, to be suffering with bad credit and to be denied for, whether it be that, mortgage loan, the car, credit card, what have you. So it's a, in your best interest to identify what that item is. If you are in or have the needs or means to pay it, you definitely want to get what's called a pay to delete letter, because you don't want to pay it and then it's still staying on your credit report. You want them to agree, the creditor to agree to remove that, when you make that payment, if that is something that you can do. And then you can always dispute that item, and disputing is a process. So, it takes some time, but we definitely have had success in disputing any negative item. Doesn't matter what that item is. We've bankruptcies, foreclosures, repossessions, child support. We've seen it all.
And the thing, Eric, too, to piggyback on that, they say 7 to 10 years, right? But there are a lot of different credit laws in there. And again, we couldn't get into all of that today, but maybe we can share that at another time. But there are certain things that if you do something about it, from maybe a credit repair program like we have, or getting with a credit attorney, someone who can dig deeper and actually work directly, like we're partnered with the 3 bureaus that are partnered, that we can go behind the scenes and get things done like that. But those are things that that can come off before the 7 to 10 years. That's just the term. That's just what they use. Yeah. But some of those things can come off before. And even after, those are some of the things that you want to make sure, if it's been on there 7 years, that's where we come in and we can dispute those things through our attorneys and get those things removed like they're supposed to be. Because like Michelle said, there's a lot of things that you think you pay it off and you think it's removed, and you look 3-4 years down the road and that thing's still on your credit report. Because who cares about removing your stuff in a timely manner? They don't care. There's millions of people out there they got to remove stuff from. So they take their time with that and slow walk that thing. And that thing could take forever if you don't step forward and do something about it.
Right. So let me do a couple things here. Number one, I want to affirm you all, as Tommy did. I think you all are beautiful. And when I say to people they're beautiful, that's beyond the beauty that's external. Both of you are good looking people, but the beauty that we're experiencing this morning is what's coming from inside of you. And I really, really appreciate that. And I see that as almost magnetic. I mean, it really can draw people. And I'm seeing that being able to draw people, not just people of color, but I see white people really, feeling the closeness to you all as well. I want to, so I'm going to make this commitment. I want to help to ensure that you get this podcast developed. And so I'm going to sort of utilize our team to try to get you all set up, and just let me know what day you all think you want to, what day and time. And we're going to work on in making that happen, getting the structure of that set up, because I think that people need to hear from you all on a regular basis. Number two, I want you to talk about how much does it cost to work with you all. And I know that's something that slides depending on what people want, but I think that's the first thing that people get afraid of. They get afraid of the cost of working on that. And that's just I think that's just a way of sort of not doing it. Our brain is always looking for excuses to not do the right things. And I want to make sure that people understand the service areas that you all provide, because we haven't talked about sort of the different, the major services that you all provide for people. Why don't you say a word about that? And then again, if we can put up how people can reach you all. Brooke, if you're still with us, put that their website up. You all have some contact information. We want to make sure that that's available for people, because we want people to access you all and enjoy getting their financial well-being and health together.
Thank you for that, Eric. So we have a couple different websites, but the one that's our main one is the jarmonfinancialgroup.com. So I do see mine on the screen.
Right.
And we have, like I said, several different ones, but our main one is
that one up, the jarmonfinancialgroup.com.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And then when you're talking about in terms of getting your credit in order, if you look at a daily price, it would be less than $3 a day. And so that's less than really, a cup of coffee at Starbucks,
right.
And we talked about making sacrifices, packing your lunch instead of buying that lunch, during the week. So you definitely have to make some sacrifices to get what you want, to improve your credit score and to be able to get approved for the things that you want. So to me, when I look at that, when you look at it per day, it's like, yeah, I can do that, When
right.
people think of those big major purchases that they make, sitting down in a restaurant, I know we go out to eat sometimes, that bills could be over $100 if you're in a fancy restaurant, right. The guys and, buying the sneakers, the gym shoes, the ladies and the expensive bags. It's refund season. People got their taxes back. Invest in yourself so that you can, see greater reward.
The other thing that I think, I'm just throwing out the crazy thoughts now, but they just pop in my mind, that you all could also have a big garage sale, sort of a semi-annual sell your junk, and get on the financial, because I know I got junk. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I got junk. I literally bring bags of new stuff out of my house, and end up giving a lot of that away. You all might be able to say you can pay for your whole financial health by just selling some of that junk.
That's right.
You want to sponsor it, because it could be a fun way of people getting out from under, what one person's junk is another person's treasure. And we can go over there and pay 1/10 for them gym shoes that they never wore.
There you go.
But that kind of thing could be some fun ideas. I want to work with you all to see how we get, because I know that your services are so desperately needed, and people need ways of creating community. And I think that if we can create community around health and fitness, but around financial health and fitness, I think you'll save a lot of marriages and relationships by the work that you all do.
Absolutely. Yes. It's all connected. You're right about that. And the other services, you want to speak to that?
Yeah. So next time if you have us back, Eric, we'll talk about all the tips and strategies that can really help people apply this stuff right to it. But let's dive into the services real quick. So of course, our staple product is our credit repair services. We're also heavy into the investments and then financial planning. Definitely in budgeting. When you look at budgeting is huge when you're talking about getting your credit together. And people talk about it, but people aren't, they talk about it, but they ain't really about it, right? They say, yeah, you got a plan, and yeah, we got to do this and do that, and we got a budget, but they don't really budget. And so we can talk about what those budgeting steps look like from the beginning to the end, and how you get a real budget in place to really make it effective, because people put silly budgets in place that don't make sense. We're going to tell you how to budget to where it makes a sense on a big scale and for a long term, and not just talking about budgeting for a couple of weeks because I'm trying to save up to get some Jordans in a month or whatever. Right. Okay, so we'll dive into more of that stuff. But yeah, budgeting is one of our main services, because that's the credit repair, of course, first. But part of that credit repair process is, once we get you in the spot to where you're kind of sweet, to help you to budget so that you can continue to live that on.
Excellent. Well, my son, speaking of investors, my son is an expert in NFTs. I don't know if you all have spent much time around cryptocurrency, NFTs, things like that. What do you all think about those areas as viable? It seems like some people are getting taken, even people that know what they're doing are getting taken advantage of in this new area.
So it's a risk. We tell people, hey, cryptocurrency is what it is. Can you invest in it and get a return on it? Absolutely. But it's something that we tell people it's a risk. Why is it a risk? Because usually that's monies or finances that are not considered to be part of your important money, if you will, right? It's money that if I lose it, I can afford to lose it. So we tell people, be careful with that, because everybody thinks that's an overnight success. Oh, I get into it, I start getting into Bitcoin and do that, tomorrow I'm a millionaire. That's not the way it works. Right. Okay. Number one, you better be educated in cryptocurrency. You better know what you're doing. And I tell people that about Wall Street too, and stocks. You better know what you're doing before you get out there and start trying to trade. But that's big. You got to have the knowledge. So I suggest to people, get the knowledge first before you jump out there and do that. Okay. And then secondly, make sure you have the funds. When you talk about investment, those are usually monies outside of my everyday, my finances that I need for my bills and things like that. So just make sure before you do that you know what you're doing, and that you have money to invest, and maybe even money to lose.
Right. Well, this has been fantastic. I don't know if there's any final comments you all want to make, before we wrap up the session. It's been very informative. The time has just blown by. Both of you are amazing. We appreciate you sharing your story again. And why don't you give them a phone number to your office that they can follow up with you that way as well?
Yeah, so thank you again. And lastly, we one of the steps too we help people with is starting a business. And so that is definitely a way to start accumulating wealth, and really thinking about what your passion is and monetizing your gift that God has blessed you with. So some people always think super large scale, but just start with what you're good at, what you're passionate about, how you can help others, how you can be valuable in the marketplace. And so we help people with getting started with businesses, because that's definitely a way that we need to do to start, generating wealth. And to reach us, our number is 888-399-4441. 888-399-4441.
And make sure that you go out to jarmonfinancialgroup.com and see all of the services that we offer and how we can help you. Please don't feel ashamed to reach out to us and let us know your story, because we'll share our story. And we have done that today. And we thank everybody for tuning in today and paying attention, hopefully, to some of our information. Eric, we thank you again for having us. We're so thankful and blessed that you gave us this opportunity to share our stuff.
Well, and hold on just a minute, since we got another minute left. Let's see if I can pull up something that I took away from your website. No. Okay. I thought I had it. I had taken the pages from your website that showed all the services that you all, the additional services that you all provide. But people can go to your website. We really appreciate you getting up this morning, working through the technical difficulties with us to share with our community some of your wisdom around financial management. So Thank you all very much. Community, we'll see you again next week as we continue to have these diversity conversations. Take care.